That's right, mail time. It's either mail or it's a recipe. This week it's mail. All right, so as we're getting in, isn't there like a perforated? Well, I guess not. As we're getting into the later portions of this channel, content is going to start wearing a bit thin. We're going to run out of stuff to talk about ultimately. Not anytime soon, of course, but eventually. And so it really comes down to, what do I want to do with this channel? Do I want to continue talking about less and less important Dragonlance little bits of information, or do I want to do something greater with it? I don't actually know the answer to this question. I'm just posing it as something that I'm going to have to deal with sooner or later. That, of course, has little to do with this, unless, that is, this channel turns into a celebration of Dragonlance and a gaming Dragonlance channel. Now, you may argue that I've already been doing that, and I can't really discount that statement, but it's never been my intention to become just a gaming channel. However, when it comes to Dungeons & Dragons, when it comes to Dragonlance specifically, this and the Dragonlance Adventures source books are what define Dungeons & Dragons 1.5 edition over first edition. So Unearthed Arcana was really the turning point for first edition Dungeons & Dragons. This is where it opened up options to players and the Dungeon Master, and it's the first tome that is intended to be for both the player and Dungeon Master. Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, the only book that was supposed to be for players originally was the Player's Handbook. Everything else was Dungeon Master eyes only, and there could be punishments. Because the truth is with Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, it's all suggestions. There's no firm, hard rules on how to do virtually anything. You know, there's suggested rules and techniques and tactics that are in the player's handbooks and rules and restrictions, but all of that ultimately is up to the discretion of the DM and the home rules of the group that you're playing with. So that being in mind, this book and ultimately the Oriental Adventures are really the two volumes that completely changed the trajectory of Advanced Dungeons & Dragons and laid the groundwork for second edition. Now, this, again, is split in half. The first part is for players, and it introduces new classes, like subclasses of dwarves and stuff, races, new classes like barbarians and cavaliers, some more spells, and then it goes into more Dungeon Master-based information, and not just like weaponless combat, for example, not just spells and magic items and stuff, but new ways of creating characters and stuff. You can just sort of see here what's in it for the Dungeon Master. So this is the collection. Yeah, and it also showed all those polearms for wargaming that Gary Gygax was so obsessed with in a bit of an odd way. But this is that sort of special edition that was released that had a bunch of the errata added to it. So it's the most updated with all of the corrections and changes and alterations throughout the years in Dungeon Magazine and stuff like that. So yeah, have you guys picked this up before? What did you think of the Unearthed Arcana? Have you ever referenced this for gameplay? I mean, looking at all the extra stuff, different types of dwarves and elves and classes and spells and armor and equipment. I mean, that's a lot to be adding to a game that's already been out for quite some time by this time. Like this was in 85, and I think the very first Advanced Dungeons & Dragons was in the late 70s. Again, I'm sort of speaking out my ass because I can't recall the exact year, but it was on or around there. So that's a long time to, have a system and then suddenly change it. But this was supposed to be like the end of Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. Like this is how the game was seen by Gary Gygax moving forward. It was other people who took it into second edition. And of course, that was the golden era of Dungeons and Dragons, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons specifically. But yeah, what do you guys think of first edition? What do you think of the Unearthed Arcana? Do you have this revised special edition? I picked this up as a print on demand from DriveThruRPG. You can always get your own copy through a link, affiliate link in the description of the video. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you have a fantastic day, and until next time, Slán Javar.